you have appointed them as a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth. So here it is, guys. This is the main point of the passage today, right here. You have been purchased. All of us here, we are purchased by God for this purpose. He purchased us so that we can become kings and priests to serve God and reign with Him for the rest of eternity. Like, this is the main reason why God has purchased us. Like, all of us here have been purchased by Jesus Christ through His blood so that we can become kings and priests for the rest of eternity. This is our destinies. This is our jobs for the rest of eternity. You know, like, all of us will have the same jobs. All of us will have the same jobs, and it's going to be priests and kings for the rest of eternity. And just think about that, you know? Like, all of us are going to be kings and priests. Like, we have to start living as such. Like, right now, we have to be acting like kings and priests so that when we're faithful today, you know, we can be faithful with more in the future when Christ comes back. Like, PJ preached last week about being faithful with a little, right? Like, if we are faithful with little, we will be faithful with more, you know? So, like, we have to be faithful with what God has given us today. And what God has told us is that we have been purchased by Him for the purpose of becoming priests and kings for the rest of eternity. So we have to act as such. We have to act like kings and priests today, you know, so that we are being faithful to what we are, our eternal destinies. All of us, our eternal destinies is going to be kings and priests for the rest of eternity. That is the purpose why God has purchased us for. I think there's some problems with this. What if you think, I don't want to be kings and priests? You know, what if I want to be, you know, a janitor? Or I want to be a nurse. I want to be something else in the new heaven and new earth. Like, what if, you know, I don't want that? What if I don't want to be a king and priest. I just want to do something else. And the thing is that there's this idea of rent or ownership, right? So in the realm of properties, right? Is it better to rent or to own? Who thinks it's to rent? Gabriel. Yeah, we can have a talk about that. But yeah, you know, there's some points that some people say renting is better for certain, depends on the situation. But I think for Chinese, always buy. Buy as much as possible. If you have the money, keep buying. But rent or own, right? And there's a monopoly for millennials. Have you guys seen this? Monopoly for millennials. David showed this to me, actually. Forget real estate. You can't afford it anyway. So there's this mentality. As Christians, we have a rentals mentality. We think that our lives are just being rented to Jesus Christ. So we rent our lives to Jesus Christ on Sundays. We say, God, okay, I'll rent my Sundays to you. So Sunday, I'll come to church and I'll do whatever you want because, you know, Sundays, you know, it's your rent. You have Sundays. But from Monday to Saturday, you live your own lives. You choose your own way. You choose your own living. You don't want to follow God. But you don't understand is that you're not being rented, you're being owned. God did not just rent you, He purchased you, He owns you. And once He owns you, He can do whatever He wants to do with you. And He said, I have purchased you specifically to be a king and priest for the rest of eternity. That's my purpose for buying you. That's my purpose for purchasing you, is for you to become a priest and king for the rest of eternity. And, you know, in Monopoly, right, if you buy a property, you can do whatever you want with it, right? You can mortgage it. You can sell it. You can give other people discounted rent. You can do that, right? I don't know if it's not in the rules, but like you can do whatever you want with it once you purchased it. But there's nothing you can do if you haven't purchased it. If you haven't purchased it, there's nothing. You don't have any power over it. It's just, you know. That's why in Monopoly, it's always good to buy as well. That's how you win the game. You keep buying, keep owning and purchasing. And Christ has purchased all of us. We have all been purchased by Jesus Christ for the purpose of becoming priests and kings for the rest of eternity. So you don't really have a choice saying, hey, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be a king and priest. Like, He owns you. He can do whatever He wants with your life. And He calls you to be a priest and king for the rest of eternity. So what exactly does royal priest look like, right? Like, so okay, now that we know that we are purchased to become royal priests, like, what does that look like? What is a royal priest? So, yeah, what do you guys think? What does royal priest look like? So I think, you know, specifically, The main thing, I think, is to show how amazing God is. As royal priests, we have to be in awe of who God is. Like you see these 4 living creatures who God created, and they're just in awe of God 24/7, just seeing how beautiful it is and worshiping Him, and just saying, wow, God, you're so beautiful. Like, this is something we have to be doing as Christians. As His kings and priests, we are representing Him. We are His representative. We are declaring His glory and His majesty. We have to show to people how beautiful He is. But for you to show how beautiful He is, you have to be convinced yourself that He is beautiful. You have to know how beautiful God is before you can show people that He is beautiful. So really, I think we really need to learn to cultivate in our hearts this idea of how beautiful God is. Sometimes we just have to sit. We just have to sit and think of how beautiful and powerful God is and how amazing He is. And once we start cultivating this, we can, the second thing is a byproduct, bringing people closer to God. Like priests, their main job is to bring people closer to God. But, this happens as a byproduct of you being in awe of who God is. So we all have to cultivate this sense of awe-ness of who God is, His amazingness. And as we see how beautiful and amazing God is, we can just bring people closer to God naturally. You don't have to force it. It just comes out because you see and understand how beautiful and powerful God is.